The term concussion substitute in cricket will always be now synonymous with one player's name. It started in 2019 in the Ashes and happened again a few days ago in the one-day format. We're obviously talking about none other than Marnus Labuschange from Australia. That's what we are here today to talk about in this short video on the CricBlog podcast. I have with me my co-host and Australia fan, Charbel, and we are here today to discuss Australia's Marnus problem. Let's jump straight in. Firstly, Charbel, what do you make of Australia's one-day series against South Africa?
It's been amazing. And off the back of the first two games, how scared are you of Australia right now? That's my question to you.
World Cup
It's
year,
World Cup time.
World Cup year, it's Australia. It's always scary for the last 20, 25 years, as you have put it in one of the previous episodes. When it's World Cup, Australia always step up. They know they do the right things. They have the right positions, and it's always scary to see them.
Yeah, and in terms of the one-day series, it's like the team is kicking into gear. Marnus in particular is not even in the one-day squad at the moment, the World Cup squad. So, bit of a headache there, which we'll talk about today. But and it's interesting because the T20 series was great as well. And had a few, South Africa fans in my replies saying, "Oh, this is not a full-strength South Africa team. This is not a talented South Africa team. Wait till the one-dayers." Well, here we are. What are you saying? So, 3 games to go in that. Hopefully, Australia should win that series and keep going, playing that really good attacking brand of cricket. It's really good to see.
Absolutely. So, as I mentioned earlier, we are here today to talk about Australia's Marnus problem. What a couple of weeks he has had. Not named in the World Cup squad. Not named in the first ODI, playing 11, came on as a concussion substitute. Where do you think Australia go from here now? How do they? Firstly, do you think they try to fit Marnus in their World Cup squad, or do they just hands up, please? God take the wheel, or do you think there's some behind the scenes stuff going on
It's
in the
hard.
Australian cricket board offices?
Yeah, I mean, the reason why he was left out in the first place, right? It wasn't a massive shock to me because he hadn't quite nailed the one-day format yet. I think he played 30 games before this series, averaged about 30 or 31. So he's had some chances, but didn't quite nail it. Had a few good innings here and there, but didn't lock down a spot. So what he's done now, he's done exactly what he's been required to do. He got the opportunity and he's absolutely taken it with both hands. Now, in terms of picking him for the World Cup squad, it's probably got to be for one of the all-rounders. Who is that going to be? I can't see.
That's a big call. That's a big call.
Who would you pick out? Who would you leave out of the specialist batsmen and
because
bowlers?
I'm only saying that because all the all-rounders that are there, you say
It sounds harsh, but it's probably Sean Abbott that he probably might miss out for Marnus. I know that's weird, a bowling all-rounder for a batter, but
let's try quickly. Let's try and work our way backwards. If you are to pick the all-rounders in the team, the playing 11, who would you go with?
Marsh, Stoinis, Agar. I think, yeah.
And do you see all three of them playing throughout the tournament, or do you see a chop and change depending on where they play and who they play?
I'll see some rotation based on form and things like that. There's Cameron Green there as well. So we've got all-round depth there. It depends on form and how particular players are playing. But yeah, I think the thing with Marnus is, you can, as I said, you can put him in the squad, right? But who are you going to leave out of the squad at the moment? And it's the same thing with Tim David, if you want to get him in. Nathan Ellis, he bowled beautifully in the second game. He's a class bowler, but where do you get these guys in? That's the problem we have. And I was speaking the other day on another channel. It's like the challenge for Australia is making the right decisions with all the options we've got now and settling on an 11 and a combination as quickly as possible and getting into the groove very quickly. I don't think there's a lot of room for error in this World Cup. Spots for the semi-finals are going to be quite difficult.
So if you were to fit Marnus in, if you were to fit Marnus in, let's say, you drop one of the all-rounders. Let's go, for example, with Sean Abbott, as you were saying. Marnus
That's
comes
only a
in.
suggestion. It's only a
Yeah, no,
possibility.
no,
It's
that's
not as
fine.
if I would do it. Yeah.
I'm raising you a scenario here.
Yeah.
And Marnus comes in. If you were to get
Mm.
with the form, let's say in the next 3 1 days, he as he's in red hot form right now, in the next 3 1 days, he scores another 100, a 50 run
Yep.
there, ends up with the man of the series or the highest run getter, and whatnot. Australia pick him. Would you go him? Would you go with him in the first World Cup game straight away, in the playing 11? And if so, where would you fit him? Which number does he bat at?
See, that's the thing. He could be in the World Cup squad, but I don't see how he fits in the 11 because you've got. I don't think you can fit Steve Smith and Marnus in the same team. First of all, the way Australia play and the combinations we go with. So shall we go a possible playing 11 for the first game?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Let's discuss that. So I'd start with Warner and Travis Head at the top, locks, absolute locks. Mitchell Marsh at 3, Steve Smith at 4, but you could sort of rotate between those two
Yep.
depending on the situation.
Yep.
If we lose an early wicket, you can send Smith there. But Steve Smith is crucial for us. He's our best player of spin, and we're going to need that.
Yep.
Then I've got Stoinis, Carey, Maxwell, 5, 6, 7. Again, you can interchange those plays depending on the situation. Ashton Agar, Cummins, Stark, and Zampa. So I actually don't have room for Josh Hazelwood there as well, because it's at Chennai, the first game.
Yeah,
So you expect
exactly.
spin to play a role. You expect spin to play a role. Maxwell's going to be important, Agar and Zampa. So again, where does Marnus fit there?
So
Do you leave Stoinis
do you
out?
think there is a room for Marnus if you're playing? Let's say if you look at only the bowling unit, if you consider Stark, Pat Cummins, Zampa, Agar, Mitchell Marsh, Maxwell, could you leave
Stoinis.
out? Could you leave that? That's what I'm getting at. Could you leave out Stoinis and fit Marnus
You
in
could
that position?
You could potentially, but then what's Marnus's role in the 11? Because then what you're doing is when you play Marnus, Mitchell Marsh either drops down, which probably you don't want to do. He's been excellent up top in all formats, right? And then if you bat Marnus at 5 or Smith at 5, that's probably too low. You want more impactful hard hitters in that position in one-day cricket. So that's my point. How do you fit both Smith and Marnus in the 11? I don't think you can. I just don't think you
is
can
that
do it.
is you if you're the selector right now, is your answer okay? Marnus is having a great South Africa series. That's it. That's him for the year. Let's go to the World Cup with this
No, you
15
know
you've
what?
got, or do you try to fit Marnus
Maybe.
in somehow?
Maybe. You could fit Marnus because he'd be a very good player to have in the squad, and if you need to call on him throughout the tournament, you could say
And
someone goes down with an injury or someone's out of form.
exactly, because you have to remember it's a long tournament. You have got
That's right.
nine groups
Yeah,
matches and then semi-finals, finals. Obviously,
exactly.
consider travel all over India. It's a long tournament which can take a mental toll on the players and physical
Yeah,
toll
for
as well.
sure. Just because I wouldn't, maybe it's hard to pick him in the 11 straight away. Doesn't mean he shouldn't be in the squad. He can definitely play a role throughout the tournament. But yeah, I think even like players like Cameron Green, how do you fit him in? They really rate him, and he's got a lot of value, and he did very well in the IPL last year, last season. And there's some questions, and I think we say they're good headaches, but you got to get it right. And there's a lot
Yeah,
of options, and
that's my favorite
that can be
phrase
challenging
there.
sometimes.
It's a good headache to have for Australia at the moment. I
Yeah,
think there are going to be smiles, when it comes to the selector's office, but I think those smiles, they have a lot hidden behind those smiles as to who do they pick and where do they go with
yeah,
Marnus. I think that's the big issue they have right now. With the 3 1 days coming up, obviously with the form that Marnus is in, we hope to see him bat the same way he's doing. We hope Australia win as well. I think my mind goes back to what you said before the series started. Australia going to South Africa, white ball series in South Africa. It's always difficult, but I think Australia have made a mockery of that, and I think it's just been
they have so far.
it's been, I wouldn't say easy actually, because we have to remember they were 103 for 6, I think, before Marnus came in the first one there and pulled the game from there. So it's it's
Yeah.
it's uh it's going to be really interesting to see what happens in the next 3 1 days and where Australia go from here. And
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
we'll really see. It'll be really interesting to see which player from the Australian squad picks up a injury, accidental injury, behind the scenes,
Yeah.
and what happens. Maybe a side strain, or maybe someone pushes someone, but and it's going to be interesting how
Someone
they.
rolls their ankle or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Rolls their ankle on a football.
Oh, I think it's going to be interesting to see how Marnus gets. I know he's going to be in India. I can say that for sure. I know he's. I think I think he's going to get in that squad. It's just going to
Okay.
be interesting to see who gets dropped or
So
who gets
interesting you
injured.
say that. Who do you think will miss out?
That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. Like, just like you said, it'll be one of the all rounders. Um, Whether it's Sean Abbott, or whether, as harsh as it may sound, whether it's Agar or
It
um,
cannot be Agar.
it
Absolutely not.
shouldn't be. It shouldn't be, and it cannot be
If
personally.
that
But
happens, then no, that'll be brain dead. Agar gets into the first 11, and you need a spinner. So
yeah,
yeah, he'll
yeah,
play,
yeah.
and he can bat too. Yeah.
That's exactly, and that's why I said I don't
See,
know.
that's the
I
only thing. I
honestly
think
don't know.
the thing is for me, it can only be Sean Abbott, kind of, and that's harsh because he's been bowling well. But then, Josh Inglis is the reserve keeper. He has to be there, and
Hmm.
yeah, I can't really pick anyone else to say that player's out. If they're all fit and healthy and ready to go, it's only Sean Abbott that makes way for me.
Yep. Well, that's why it's the Marnus problem for Australia. Viewers, listeners, let us know what you think in the comments below. Send us your thoughts on Instagram or Twitter at CricBlogPod, or at Crick_blog, or at Nash Sant. Let us know, what do you think Australia will do to fit Marnus into the World Cup squad. Keep listening. We'll be here reviewing the Asia Cup, the World Cup, and the massive Australian summer coming up as well. Thank you, Charbel. It's been a pleasure doing this again with you,
Thanks,
having this
mate.
chat.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
And thank you, listeners. Stay safe.